Hello, welcome to you in Digital Softics, continuing software engineering tutorials. Today's topic is requirements gathering or requirement elicitation. So, moving towards today's agenda. Today's agenda is what is requirement elicitation or gathering in software engineering and different kinds of methods used for requirement elicitation. So requirement citation is the process by which we gather and collect requirement from the user, because initially the user is not be able to provide their full requirement related to the system. It is not aware that what functionality I need for my system, and that is why the developer will try to resolve their issues related to software requirements. So they will need the different techniques of software elicitation. So software elicitation is the practice of researching and discovering the requirements of a system from users, customers, and other stakeholders. So the practice also sometimes refers to requirements gathering. So why we need software requirement elicitation? Requirement elicitation is a technique which is used to gather the requirements from the customers, because customer is not be able to provide the full requirements of a system in just in a few hours or in a few stages. That is why, because he is not be able to provide that what kind of functionality I need in my system and what kind of functions that will perform my system. So the developer to try to study his mind with the help of software requirement elicitation, that what is the user needs. So the user will provide with the help of different scenarios their needs, that I need these. So when the software developer will assure that the software needs, software requirements are being gated successfully, so they will try to develop the system. So with the help of software requirement elicitation, we gather requirements from the customer. So in requirement elicitation, we use different kinds of technique. So that technique is really very helpful, because it contains meetings, it contains interviews, it contains brainstorming session, which help us to gather requirements from the user. So let's move on and different try to discuss the different methods or technique of software requirement elicitation. Interviews, brainstorming, workshops, prototypings. So let's understand one by one. So an interview is a technique used for requirement elicitation, where software organization arrange interview with the stakeholder, user, and other clients for gathering requirements for the system to be developed. With the help of interview, the software requirements will be gathered, the user needs, by asking questions related to the system. So usually the developer will try to ask question in interview session from the user that what are your needs. So they ask the question from the user, and on this question the developer will try to write down their needs, and it will categorize those things. So an interview is a very good practice to collect requirements. So it is one of the technique used in software requirement engineering to collect requirements from the customer. So brainstorming is a way of just note down the things, the ideas related to the system. So in brainstorming, the developer will display display the project name, and the user, customer, stakeholder will give their ideas related to the system. So the developer will try to categorize their ideas, and they will convert into requirements. So brainstorming is a technique in which we share our opinion and ideas about a given thing. In software requirement citation, we note down everything related to the problem in the mind of user stakeholders. They share their ideas about the given problem to find a solution. So brainstorming is also very best technique to gather requirements, because everyone in the organization share their idea related to the system. So every idea is not being a requirements, but many of the ideas is be the requirements of the system. So it's up to developer that he can categorize the requirements and the ideas they are collected in brainstorming session. So let's take a simple example of brainstorming. For example, we are brainstorming session for a mobile phone. Everything have shared their ideas such as globalization, time, convenience, quick connection, car accident, everything. So these are the brainstorming technique and brainstorming ideas. So developer will try to uh, take out the important requirements such as memory, radiation, quick connection, time, globalization. So everything that are important to the system. So it's up to developer to categorize these things and use in software development. So this is the technique used in brainstorming. So it is called brainstorming technique. Workshop is the way in which the developer will talk to the users, the stakeholder of our organization, and discuss the requirements. And in this session, the user may get new requirements, and user may also discuss the existing requirements with the stakeholder and customers. So a requirement workshop can be defined as a structure and facilitate event for getting care for selected stakeholder. So we select the stakeholder because when the top management is selected, so they have their own needs. When the lower management of stakeholder is being selected, they have their own needs. So we will select important people related to the organization, and they will deliver us their needs, at what kinds of needs, what kind of functionality we are expected from the system to be developed. So uh, they select the stakeholders and gather the discover, refine, validate, and discuss requirements. So workshop they discuss the issues related to the system, and they will try to resolve it, and they have tried to develop the system for the stakeholder and users. So workshop is also a very important technique of uh, requirement citation. Prototyping is the way in which we have to provide minimum functionality to the customer stakeholder, and that functionality, they are the initial requirements understood by the user. So when the user will see the system or see the prototyping, so they will deliver the feedback. On based on the feedback, the developer will try to develop the whole system. So when the feedback is better, so the developer is going in the right direction. When the feedback is not good, so the developer will try to change their paths. So prototyping is a technique used in software elicitation in which the developer provide a simple version of a software based on the initial requirements or the requirements understood by the developer. So prototyping is also one of the technique. So after the initial prototyping, after the initial simple version of software, so the user stakeholder will share their ideas related to the prototyping, and they may also provide other requirement. So with the help of this technique, we can get the requirement for the system, and just in a few sessions we can get 70 to 80% requirement for the system. Well, it's a very better way for the developer and for the users to collect their requirements and schedule their software. So it's all about the requirements gathering or requirement citation technique. So if you have any kind of query related to this session, write your query in the comment section. We will try to resolve your problem. Thanks for watching.